You're listening to the Infinite Banking Mastery Podcast. Did you know that you could build a tax-free pool of wealth that's liquid and accessible all your life while building your retirement nest egg? Gain full control of your financial future and stop relying on the government and banks. The wealthy have already discovered this wealth-building secret. Now it's your turn to get financially secure without following the conventional wisdom that keeps you in debt to banks. Now here's your host, Valerie LaRocque.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. Hope you've had a great week. So since I've been on the topic of underwriting, I thought I would go into health ratings next. Very often I hear, I'm in really good health. I'm in great health. My spouse is in great health. My children are in great health. And sometimes I'll hear that and I'm always happy for the person. Like, great, I'm glad the process will be easy for you. I'm glad that you're a healthy person. So based on that information, we will start off with an accelerated underwriting application if the client is trying to move the process along a little more quickly or trying to avoid the blood and urine, if they think they don't need it, if they think that their medical records or the recent blood work they've had with their office is sufficient, their doctor's office, then I will sometimes say, okay, great, let's try accelerated if that's something you want to do. Of course, trying to make sure sometimes they do order records. It might not be the fastest thing in the world, even though if you are in great health, as you say, and you don't have a lot in your health history, then you could be approved in as little as 5 days, really quickly. So sometimes I do start that accelerated application based on what they're telling me. And once we get into the application, then that's when you start asking those medical questions and then realize, oops, I don't think we're going to be able to proceed with accelerated. Now, oftentimes we just continue with the application from there, but already understanding this is likely to be kicked out of accelerated underwriting, and you more than likely will have to still take the blood and urine test, or they're going to ask for medical records for sure, something like that. I always have high hopes, and I'm always happy for a client when they feel or believe or think about themselves that they are super healthy. It's just that sometimes the underwriters don't agree depending on your health history. So I thought I would talk about a couple of the things that actually slow it up in underwriting, a couple of the health conditions that cause an application to be stalled or for an underwriter to ask more questions, something that is shocking to a lot of people who think this is really a non-issue in my life or this has been treated and I'm doing good. And they don't expect to have any pushback or have any additional questions or need records over it. Mental health diagnosis, oftentimes the underwriters are concerned about that, whether it's depression, anxiety, or some other form of mental health diagnosis. They are going to want more information. There is a special mental health document that they will want completed, a supplemental questionnaire. And so we'll want to get that completed and submit that. So if you already are stating or you know that that's going to be something that we're going to ask, it's actually going to be helpful if you just come outright with it. And then we can complete that document sooner and get it submitted sooner so that it's not holding up underwriting at a later time. So how the underwriter will see that mental health issue is going to depend on what it is, when you were diagnosed, what was the treatment, what medications were you on, are you still on them, did your doctor want you to be on them, but you decided to take yourself off of them, what is the doctor's opinion of where you stand, just how extreme was or whatever it was you were dealing with, how extreme was it? It's not often going to go right to a decline, but oftentimes it will keep it from being a preferred rating or a health rating better than the average standard non-tobacco. And so sometimes that throws people because they feel perfectly fine, or maybe the medication helps them and feel perfectly themselves, or they've had a period of time where they went through that, then they come out of it and now they're fine and they don't want that to disrupt their medical rating. But it can still be an issue for underwriting. It will depend on the severity of it and also in combination with anything else you might be dealing with, whether or not that will help to or cause a decline. Another one that's become pretty big in recent years is sleep apnea. This used to not be as big of a deal. It's become a much bigger deal in recent years, just with what they've discovered can be some side effects or things that happen because of sleep apnea. My giant dog is barking in the background. I really hope that's not distracting. He's a giant beast dog, and apparently we can't get him to be quiet. Okay. Anyhow, back in the day, if you were diagnosed with sleep apnea and using the CPAP machine that they prescribed to you, usually underwriters were pretty happy with that. And so it wasn't such a big deal. I had a client about 12 to 13 years ago who had sleep apnea. He also had some high blood pressure, cholesterol issues. There may have been one or two other things going on. So we were concerned. We were thinking, oh, he's probably not going to get approved or probably not going to get the insurance. And so they rated him based on all the things that he had. They actually rated him table H, which is the lowest health rating you can possibly receive on a whole life policy with my primary company. I don't know, there may be a lower one out there. But luckily, because he was taking care of his health and because he was using his CPAP machine regularly and taking the medication the doctor prescribed and trying to take care of his health, they said, oh, he's putting forth a great attempt at using the treatments he was prescribed and improving his health the best way he can, or at least treating what the doctors were concerned about. And so they saw that effort and they actually gave him a standard non tobacco rating, even though he was rated table H, because of the effort that he put into improving his health. Now, this may be a special thing with just the company that I'm thinking of because I have not experienced them at a different company increasing your health rating from something like a table H to a standard non tobacco rating. They have this good health program where if you're making actions and doing things to be in good health that they can make that change to your rating and say, okay, well, we're going to give you this rating because you're doing your best, or you're taking actions that will help your health and help to improve what you're dealing with. However, these days, life underwriters and also disability underwriters have become much more cautious about sleep apnea because it's associated with a higher risk of some serious health complications such as high blood pressure, heart disease, stroke, and even sudden cardiac events when you're sleeping. If sleep apnea is not well managed or treated, these risks then can increase and can impact your life expectancy, which, of course, if your health risks are increasing or your life expectancy is impacted, the insurer's risk is going up. And so they aren't going to want to insure you. So underwriters are looking much more closely at sleep apnea, the diagnosis, treatment, and the severity of your sleep apnea when assessing your application. Now, if you've been diagnosed with central sleep apnea, that is actually considered to be much more dangerous than being diagnosed with obstructive sleep apnea. Central sleep apnea is caused when your brain is failing to send the proper signals to your muscles that control your breathing. So that makes sense why they would be concerned. This leads to repeated pauses in breathing during sleep, which will result in lower oxygen levels and increased strain on your heart. So that's really the bigger concern these days with sleep apnea is the effect on your heart from not having the appropriate amount of oxygen. Central sleep apnea is often linked to health conditions such as heart failure or neurological disorders. It also can heighten the risk of high blood pressure or irregular heart rhythms. So just a lot of things going on with the heart, and that's concerning to underwriters for sure. If you do have one of these diagnoses, it would be a great idea for you to treat that, for you to take care of yourself, not only if you're trying to get life insurance and you want to be able to be approved, but because you want to increase your life expectancy. Now, sleep apnea possibly could cause a decline all on its own, but usually depends on how you're treating it, how bad it is, what type it is. Do you have any other health conditions you might be dealing with? If it's only sleep apnea, I've seen people get just rated a little bit from it. It just really depends on your overall health history. If you're going to be what your rating will be or how low it will be, it may not be just the sleep apnea bringing it down. And if you're working hard to improve your health, or you have been for the last year or so, and it's apparent, this only, of course, will help you. For any health condition or issue you've been dealing with, taking action to improve your health is definitely going to help. And if anything, you can always re underwrite in a year to try to get a better health rating if you don't like the one that you received. Now, switching topics here, a lot of times people believe that if they've had cancer in their past, that it's an automatic decline. Again, not so cut and dry. It really depends on the stage of cancer, the type of cancer, where it was located, what your treatment was, how long ago it was. People have been able to get approved for life insurance even after they've had cancer in their past. I've talked to people, clients, and people that wanted to apply that we weren't sure if it would be a decline because of cancer in the past or something like that. So I can get all those details and ask an underwriter to get their best guess before we go through the process of applying, if that's something you want to do. I know I've mentioned this before, but that's something that I do for someone who's concerned about being able to be approved. And so as well as cancer, there are also other diagnoses that in your past that may not be an automatic decline. I even was asking recently about an aneurysm, and that's not all the way cut and dry. Just depends on how it was treated, how long ago it was, things like that. But that was a pretty risky one. I mean, it probably will be a decline, but he did say maybe not. He's just got to see the records. He's got to see all the information to really know what happened and what's going on and how well the person's doing. And it's possible to be approved. But for sure, keep in mind that they do have ratings lower than the average rating, which is standard non tobacco. They have three better classes, or different companies, maybe they have two, three, four better classes, but they also have lower ratings as well. If you have things you're dealing with and you're a lower than a standard or average tobacco rating or non tobacco rating. They also even have preferred tobacco ratings. So if you are a smoker, you might be able to be considered a healthy smoker. And so that helps your rating a little bit too. And just a reminder too, that if you were to get a rating that you didn't want, one that you felt, oh, I shouldn't be that low of a health rating, I don't think I want this policy now, or it's not going to be as good, keep in mind that the rating only applies to the base premium. So your paid up additions premium has no effect from that health rating. And that's oftentimes the majority. It usually is the majority of your premium. So just a small portion of your premium is being affected by that health rating. So it doesn't mean you should not go forward, just something we want to look at and redesign the policy according to what makes sense with your health rating. And then you can always go back through underwriting again a year plus later to try to get that health rating changed. And then that would just improve all your numbers on that policy. Another thing to keep in mind when we're building these policies, certain companies, you have to have higher than a certain rating. And if you don't have higher than that certain rating, it goes down to H, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, then you're not going to be able to add the paid up additions rider. Sometimes that's a possibility. But again, if you have been given an offer, even if it's too low to add the paid up additions rider, so technically we're not starting off by building it in an infinite banking structure, I still want to decline an offer. If the insurance company is offering you something and it's a lower rating, that just means they feel you're not very healthy and they're not willing to take the risk because they don't think you're going to live that long. So probably a better reason to lock in some life insurance, especially if you have family you're taking care of or somebody who depends on your income, and then let that rating light the fire that helps you to get into your health and attentive to your health and get healthy so that you can get better. And then again, we can try for a better rating in the future. Okay, so that's all I have for you today. I hope that was helpful, informative, and something that will help you when you do finally reach out to me or someone else to apply for insurance. And if you would like to work with me, you can reach out to me at Valerie@alphaomegawealth.com. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great week.